Hello! I'm glad you're here. Today we're going to talk about a topic that's getting a lot of attention, especially for people on Social Security or close to retirement. President Trump's big, beautiful bill is all over the news. And the biggest promise tied to it is the senior bonus. You may have heard the words, no tax on Social Security, more money in your pocket, that kind of talk. But the real question is, what does it actually mean for you? And is it really as great as it sounds? Now, here's something most people don't know. The bill doesn't fully eliminate taxes on Social Security, as Trump said during his campaign, but it does offer a new deduction up to $6,000 per person. That's what they're calling the bonus. But remember, and this is important, not every senior will get this benefit. Some may not see any change at all. So yes, we need to understand it clearly, because on paper it looks good, but the reality is a bit more complex. And before we go into details, be sure to comment below. Do you think seniors should pay tax on Social Security benefits? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if content like this helps you, don't forget to subscribe. It really helps keep this conversation going. Okay, so let's now see what's actually in this bill. Its official name is One Big Beautiful Bill. And in true Trump style, it's big, bold, and full of promises. One key part of the bill is temporary tax relief for senior citizens. If you're 65 or older and meet the income rules, you could get a $6,000 deduction if you're single, and $12,000 if you're married and filed jointly. That's from the Senate version. The House version is a bit smaller, a $4,000 deduction per person. So what's the catch? First, you must be at least 65 years old. So if you started Social Security early at 62, or if you're getting disability benefits, you won't get this tax deduction. Even if you're over 65, there's still an income cap. If you're a single filer and earn more than $75,000 a year, or married and earn more than $150,000, the deduction starts to phase out. Once your income hits $175,000 or $250,000, the deduction disappears completely. Now here's what surprises many people. Most seniors actually won't benefit from this deduction.
And why is that? Because nearly half of seniors already pay no federal income tax. Their incomes are just too low. If your total annual income is around $30,000, which is the average for seniors in the US, then you're already covered by the standard deduction and age-related deductions. If you're not paying taxes to begin with, this new deduction doesn't really help. So the so-called senior bonus will mostly benefit seniors in the middle or upper middle class. People still working part-time or drawing from retirement accounts, but not making too much to lose the deduction. For example, a married couple making close to $100,000 could see real benefits from this bonus. But folks living only on Social Security or small pensions might not see any change at all. And if you're thinking, wait, didn't Trump say he would end taxes on Social Security? You're not wrong. Yes, he did say that, many times.
No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime.
That was his slogan. But the thing is, this bill doesn't actually end those taxes. Instead, it creates a temporary deduction that might reduce how much tax you pay on Social Security. So the promise and the policy aren't exactly the same. It's one of those cases where the headline says one thing and the details say another. And honestly, that's why I started this conversation, to clear up confusion and explain the truth, so you can better understand what this bill really means. And you might be wondering, why not just fully eliminate taxes on Social Security? Wouldn't that be simpler?
Yes, it might sound simple, but the problem is it would be very expensive for the government.
The Penn-Wharton budget model estimates that ending taxes on Social Security completely would cost the government up to $1.5 trillion over the next 10 years. Yes, trillion with a T. And since that tax partly funds Social Security itself, removing it entirely could make the fund run out even faster. Estimates show the Social Security Retirement Trust Fund could run out by 2033. And if this new bill passes, that date could move up to 2032.
It's not a huge shift, but lawmakers are taking it seriously. And guess what? Even this smaller deduction, which is less than fully ending the tax, if made permanent, could still cost the government about $250 billion over 10 years.
That's a big number, and it would add to the national debt, which is already a major concern for many people. So the question becomes, why go with a deduction instead of changing the Social Security tax system? It turns out it's a smart workaround. Under Senate budget rules, you can't directly change Social Security benefits or its funding system. It's called the Byrd Rule. So instead of removing the taxes outright, they added a side door deduction that lowers some people's taxable income, so the impact feels lighter. From the administration's point of view, they call it a win. The White House says that this deduction, along with other changes in the bill, will mean most seniors won't have to pay tax on their benefits. They estimate that under this bill, 88% of seniors would pay zero tax on Social Security. Sounds good, right? But in reality, that number is a little fuzzy. Many of those 88% were already paying no tax. So while the deduction may help some, it doesn't really change much for most seniors. Let's go back for a second. We said this deduction would begin in 2025 and last through 2028, or maybe 2029, depending on which version of the bill passes. That means it's not permanent. Congress would need to extend it. And you know how quickly things change in Washington. What's true today could be gone tomorrow. Another key point is, this deduction doesn't help everyone equally. For example, if a single person makes $40,000 a year, they might get clear tax relief. But if someone's living on $20,000, they might get nothing. And again, people who retired early or are on disability benefits aren't eligible for this plan.
That's why many advocacy groups have raised concerns, saying this bill leaves out many vulnerable seniors. So, what does all this mean for you? If you're over 65 and your income is between $40,000 and $100,000, this bill might put a little money back in your pocket. Not a huge amount, but maybe a few $100s saved each year. And in retirement, every bit helps. But if you rely only on Social Security or you're under 65, you might not benefit from this part of the bill. Now, let's talk about the big picture. Let's say you qualify for the deduction, and it does help you. Even then, this bill doesn't solve Social Security's long-term problems. It doesn't raise your benefits, it doesn't change cost of living adjustments, and it doesn't fix the trust fund from running out. It's a temporary patch, not a permanent plan. See, there's always a balance. Give relief now, or keep the system strong for the future. And that's what makes bills like this tricky and complex. Lawmakers want to show that they're helping seniors, especially in an election year. But at the same time, they're stuck with budget limits and political roadblocks. And guess what? Even though this deduction seems like a small change, there's a lot of politics behind it. It's being shown as a big promise fulfilled. But in truth, it's a minor adjustment that helps some seniors, while many others get left out. That's not to say this bill is bad, but the truth is it doesn't help everyone. For those who qualify, something is better than nothing. But honestly, it's fair to say this is not the historic relief it's being marketed as. So, what should you do? First, stay informed. Know your own finances. If you're 65 or older and filing taxes in 2025 or later, make sure to check if you qualify for this deduction. If you're not sure, talk to a tax advisor or compare your income and filing status with the thresholds we talked about earlier. And don't assume that just because it's in the news, it's good for everyone. These kinds of policies are often more targeted than they look, and the fine print really matters. And yes, let's keep this conversation going. Comment below and tell me, do you think this deduction is fair, or should it have gone further? I love hearing your opinions and stories. Truth is, your experiences help me decide what kind of content I bring to this channel. If this info helped you, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss future updates. Thanks for spending time with me today, and I'll